Hi y'all. I have a couple videos to do today. I actually want to do a what kind of pens I carry, because you may be, well, maybe you won't be surprised because we've talked about the fact that I love pens and I love them all except for ballpoints really. But I had a request for a video today and I thought, oh, I don't want to dig out all those inks, and I have some, I shouldn't say I have so many, but I have them all piled up and I have about 40 bottles. It's really not that outrageous. But I really thought I had more blue blacks than I did. What I had a request for is the blue blacks that I have and what are my favorite blue blacks. And I thought it was going to be like an ordeal to pull all the blue blacks out. I was surprised though because I don't have nearly as many blue blacks as I thought I did. So what I'm going to do is make a video particularly for Joseph about my blue black inks. These are all fountain pen inks. Obviously, if you watch anything else on my channel, you know that I adore fountain pens and inks, and I would say I have a problem, but I'm not. I don't. I enjoy them. I'm not feeding my kids so that I can support my ink and pen habit, or anything like that. So I enjoy them. I have more inks than anybody reasonably needs, I suppose, but I use probably 90% of them on a fairly regular basis. In the beginning, when I started purchasing inks, I bought some inks that I now don't use all that much, but I really have gotten it down to about 5 or 6 bottles of those that I probably should trade away with somebody for something, and I just haven't done so. I've posted several times about, hey, I have this to trade or that to trade, and I really don't have many responses, so I still have 4 or 5 bottles of ink, or 5 or 6, I don't know, that I don't use on a regular basis. The rest of them I use on a fairly regular basis, blues, blue blacks, and blacks primarily, but I have a couple of Noodler's colors, excuse me, can't speak today, that I use on a constant basis. L. Lawrence and the Whaleman Sepia. I'm sorry, I went completely blank. So I use those on a fairly consistent basis, and those are not blue black specifically. So anyway, blue blacks. I'm going to show you what I have. I'm going to start with the non-Noodlers. Um, and then I'll go into Noodlers. Noodlers remain my favorite ink. I love Noodlers. I love Nathan Tardif's philosophy. I love his philosophy of use. Um, I like his philosophy about plenty of other things as well. But I love Noodler's ink, and you get a hell of a value in Noodler's ink for what you get. So I'm going to start with the inks that I don't use as much, but still love. I have Waterman Blue Black. This is an excellent ink. It is really easy to use. It goes well in everything. It's a good color. Um, it's very It's a very basic ink. It's a non-offensive ink. It's a, plays well with others type of ink. You can put this in any pen. I wouldn't worry about it. I don't use it all that much anymore, but it's a good ink. The one I use more than that that's a non-Noodler's is Platinum Blue Black, and this stuff is fantastic. It's a fairly inexpensive ink, although the bottle you get, I have to be careful because my lid is cracked, is a teeny tiny bottle. It's 30 cc's. I don't know how many milliliters that is. But this stuff is fantastic. It's water resistant. It's a beautiful color. This is another one that plays well with others. It's always well behaved. It goes in any pen well, although the pen I keep it in is actually a Reform 1745. It doesn't usually leave that pen. I have put other inks in that pen and I haven't liked it. And I don't tend to ink anything else with this, oddly enough. I'm one of those people where if I find a pen and ink combination that I really love, it often doesn't change, so it'll often stay. But this stuff is fabulous. You could buy this by the truckload, and this really could be an only ink. This stuff is good. It's, like I said, it's water resistant. It's a beautiful color, plays well with others. It's good stuff. I don't use it as much as I used to. I don't know. I go through spells where I use fountain pens like crazy, and then spells where not so much because I'm doing different things or whatever. So, I don't know. Non-Noodlers. I also have a couple of bottles of Iroshizuku. This happens to be Sukiyo. I also have Shinkai. I really like them both, although I have not found a pen that they really play well in. I've had them in my Vanishing Point. I used to put Shinkai in one of my Safaris. I think it was maybe one of my All-Stars, but I replaced it with Noodler's 54th Mass, and I haven't changed it since then. But Sukiyo is stunning. Shinkai is beautiful color, and it's really a matter of finding a pen that really would play well with these. I expect that Iroshizuku is a fairly wet ink, and I suspect that probably finer nibbed Japanese made pen would play better with these. Um, I don't know. I don't know why I don't use them more. They're stunning. Uh, I completely forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, I have 3 bottles of Oroshizuku. It's these two and the Fuyu, however you say that, Shogun, whatever, Gun. I don't know how you say it. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. I'm sure I am. It's the cool gray, and it is one of my favorite inks ever. So I only have 3 bottles of those. 2 are blue-black, 1 is gray. But it's good stuff. I mean, if you can afford it, hey, knock yourself out. It's not cheap ink. It's well-behaved ink, but it's fairly wet. So diamine or diamine or diamine or however people say it. I say it diamine. This is Twilight. This is a beautiful color, one of my favorite blue blacks. Oh, you totally cannot even see that. I'm sorry. It's Twilight, trust me. Diamine is an excellent ink, most of them. It again plays well with others. It goes in any pen you can put it in. I've never had an ounce of problems with this. It's a beautiful color. And I used to keep this in a little Kaweco sport that I had. But I use my Kawecos as eyedropper fills. And if you use a pen as eyedropper fill, some of you already know, some of you aren't aware, but when you start getting down, the volume starts getting down, and you use it, then the air, or the heat from your hands will make the air inside expand, and that'll often, or can, cause leaks and blurps and stuff, and I quit doing it. And I certainly quit toting those around because I had leaks and problems, and I put all my Kawecos away, and I really like them. It's a shame. I guess I think they make a converter now. I should probably pick one up, and I get really disillusioned with the Kawecos and really irritated with them, so I haven't used Twilight in a long time, but it's a beautiful ink. Has a touch of green to it, but not as much green as some of the Noodlers have, but it's a really beautiful ink, and it's a very well-behaved ink. The only other non-Noodlers blue-black that I have, and I'm just kind of taking a look real quick, yeah, is Sailor Gentle Blue Black, and this is spectacular ink. If you're not a fan of Noodlers and you can only get 2 blue blacks, get Platinum and Sailor. Platinum is a bluer blue black. Sailor is a true blue black. It is almost a gray. It is beautiful stuff. It is well behaved. It plays well with all pens. I've never had an issue with it. This is the only bottle, and it may be the only bottle that I'm ever likely to have because Sailor no longer, Goulet no longer carries Sailor, and you can check out Brian Goulet's blog. And I buy most of my, I was going to say most, but no, I buy all of my fountain pen supplies from Goulet, and I've done business with them for about the last 3 years or so, and there's no reason to not do business with them because their service is excellent, their stock is fabulous. As a matter of fact, they've spoiled me for when I order things from other places because when I don't get things, if I order something and it doesn't ship the next day and I don't get it like 2 days later, I'm really upset. So anyway, likely to be the last bottle I have of Sailor, at least until they lighten up and let Goulet carry it again or whatever. But it is beautiful stuff. It is just, yeah, it's pretty stuff. Sailor inside their bottles puts a stupid little thing in there, and I know the reason. Waterman bottles have, do you see, I don't know if you can see that, yeah, that shape, so that when your bottle is getting low on ink, you can set the bottle like this and tip the ink down to the bottom so that you can get all of the ink out. Sailor inside their bottles puts a little plastic cup thing that does the same thing. So you turn the bottle over, don't panic, turn the bottle over, turn it right side up, and the little cup fills with ink. So you're able to get down, because it's a very wide-mouthed jar, but that really helps you be able to get the ink out of it. For regular filling, I don't like that little cup, and the first time I used it, I was really frustrated with it, but it's a really neat mechanism for when you're getting low on your ink. Okay, then we come to the good stuff. No, not really, I'm just kidding. It's all good stuff. And you can see that because I don't have so many blue blacks, I'm pretty particular about my blue blacks. It has to be a certain color, and they have to have certain characteristics. And the next one is just, no, this is not what I thought it was. This is Noodler's Blue Black. It's good stuff. It's very dark. Noodler's Blue Black. Most of Noodler's Blue Blacks have sort of a greenish tint to them, and you either like that or you don't. I like it. I don't think Noodler's makes a blue black that I don't like. I don't have all of them. But they're all fabulous. This is a very dark blue black if you're looking for something that's a little more serious. That would be a good choice. I haven't had any problems with the blue black. I used to keep it in a Lamy Safari, and I don't like safaris, and I've quit using all of my safaris. I sold one. I gave one each to the kids because they use them, and it's fine for them. I have a child who really loves to draw, and that works for her. But I had so many problems with ink drying and ink leaking out of them, and it wouldn't leak out of any other pen. It was not the ink. It was the safaris, and the only thing I've kept, I have two All-Stars and a Vista, and I don't seem to have as many problems with those for whatever reason, although being in such a dry environment, the ink does evaporate very quickly out of them. And I've heard other people complain about this too, is you go to use your pen and your ink is gone. And I don't like that, and that's one of the reasons I prefer piston fill. Um, my point being, I haven't put blue black in anything in a long time because I used to keep it in a Safari. I got rid of the Safari, so I haven't used it in a long time. But it's a pretty one. And like I said, if it's something that you want to use like for business purposes, that would be a really good choice. I have a bottle of, I think it's Black Belted Kingfisher. Ha ha. Yeah, you can't see it because the ink. This is what I tell you about the dangers of Noodler's ink. When it's very full, be very careful when you open it for the first couple of times because that's what happens. This is Black Belted Kingfisher. This is part of the Warden series of inks. So it's not only bulletproof, but oh, what is Noodler's? I'm so sorry. Bulletproof and Eternal. So it's bulletproof. It's eternal. It has various other characteristics. There's a whole series of these. There's Bad Belted Kingfisher, Bad Green Gator. There's a black, what is that? Bad Black Moccasin. There's another blue. Anyway, there's 4 or 5 in that Warden series, and they all have very different characteristics. I think this one is the best behaved, although Bad Green Gator is an interesting ink. And if you're into green inks, it's worth trying. But this is a really well behaved. It's very consistent, and you might want to use something like this if you still use checks, or if you are worried about any of your correspondence being tamper resistant. It's waterproof. It's tamper proof. This is good stuff. I don't use it that much anymore though. I kept it in a Platinum Preppy, and see that's what I'm saying is when I quit using a pen that it was like a pen and ink combo. And when I quit using the pen, sometimes I also don't use the ink for a long time. So I just haven't used it in a long time. Doesn't go bad though, so that's good. And then the last 2 are my absolute favorite blue blacks. I like all these other blue blacks. Platinum blue black is a good stuff. But my favorite blue blacks come from Noodler's, and there are 2 of them. One is a fairly recent edition, and that's 54th Massachusetts. This was Ink of the Year on Goulet this year, and for a very good reason. It's an odd blue black though, and I mean color-wise. It doesn't have the green that some of their other blue blacks seem to have, but man, this stuff is just well behaved. And as we all know, there are some Noodler's inks that can be recalcitrant. That doesn't mean I don't adore them, because I do. L. Lawrence being one of them, the Whaleman Sepia being another, and I adore them both. And if it's something you like, you just work with it, right? But 54th Massachusetts is also very well behaved, and I've had it in several different pens. Right now I keep it in a Lamy All-Star. Not my favorite choice, but I also ran it, I think, for a while in one of my Vanishing Points. And I'm not super fond of Vanishing Point nibs in the way they lay down ink. It's not that they're not smooth. It's not that it's not a good nib. For whatever reason, I'm not fond of the way they lay down ink, and I can't explain that really. So anyway, I guess that was a pointless story. I'm sorry. 54th Massachusetts, well worth every single penny. If you're going to buy a Noodler's Blue Black, I was going to say I would start here, but I'm lying like a rug because I would not start here. This would be the second one I would buy, because this is where I would start. Noodler's Navy. Oh, this stuff. No, I could buy this by the gallon, and I run it in a twisty broad nib, so when it lays down a wet, juicy, stunningly beautiful line of navy ink. Noodler's Navy is a very has a very greenish tint to it, but it is beautiful stuff. It is absolutely beautiful. I think it's water resistant, although I haven't done water tests with it. You could go, I don't think it's one of their bulletproof or eternal, but you could go check. Goulet on their website has a key to what Noodler's inks are bulletproof or eternal, and check that out. But the stuff is just, and I don't have anything written down here for you guys to show you, and I don't think you're going to be able to see from there. Hang on just a sec. I'll put some here on a little piece of tissue. Maybe it'll show. It's not going to. It's going to come out a lot darker than. But I wish you could see. Order if you don't have navy. God, order some. Order a sample. Order just. I recommend ordering a bottle. You're going to love it. I'm telling you right now. Put it in the broadest navy you have. If you have a 1.1, although, nah, it's beautiful in a 1.1, but you're not going to get the characteristic that you're going to get out of it in a good juicy medium nib or a broad nib. The broad TWSBI nib is not only a beautiful pen and a beautiful nib, but I don't know if you can see a little bit. I wish I could explain it. If you haven't tried navy, if you don't know the characteristics of it, go on Fountain Pen Network, go to Goulet, do a little bit of research. The stuff is just fabulous. I love it. And this is probably the emptiest bottle of Noodlers I have or have ever had, and you can't see that either, but I don't know, it's about halfway down. It goes a long way, obviously. That pen uses quite a bit of it when I use it. But this is my favorite blue black, bar none. And this is one of my Desert Island inks, Noodler's Navy, and I could probably live with, I'd say this 54th Mass and one of the Noodler's blacks, and get away with, or maybe El Lawrence. Oh, that one's hard. See, if I only had to have one ink on a desert island, I don't know. I'd have to take at least 5. Good grief, that's hard. But one of my favorite Noodler's inks, and certainly my favorite blue black. So those are my blue blacks. Those are my favorites. Those are some of the characteristics. I do have some others that are sort of on the, they really push that blue black category, and I'm not sure how they're categorized. R&K Verdigris is a very nice blue green. It's not the, Verdigris is obviously the name of the color that copper turns when it turns blue. It's not that light, but it's a very, really pretty medium to dark sort of blue green, blue black. And I have a couple other that kind of push the, diamine teal. It's not really a blue black. It's not really a blue. It's more of a blue greenish. I don't know. So I have some others that kind of drift off of that blue black a little bit. But for true blue blacks, those are the ones I have. Those are the characteristics. I like them all. If I had to get rid of one, it might be the Waterman. I keep the Waterman around because if you have a pen that's having some issues, or you have a pen that is in itself a bit recalcitrant or cranky or whatever, Waterman is a really good, safe, neutral ink to throw in it, and you're going to get a good result. So if you're having a pen that has a little bit of issues, but you really love the pen, that's a good one. But I could probably easily do without the Waterman. To be honest with you, I could probably easily do without the Iroshizuku, although it is beautiful ink. Tsukiyo in particular. Shinkai is pretty. I couldn't do without the Platinum or the Noodlers, really. Those are the ones, if I had to say the blue blacks that I really would not want to get rid of. The Platinum blue black and Noodler's Navy and Noodler's 54th Mass. Yeah, those are my favorites. If you have any questions, any comments, anything, add the discussion, by all means, tell me your favorite blue blacks or your favorite inks. Don't send me hate mail, though, about Noodlers or, anything like that, or inks, or, let's keep it light, let's keep it fun. Fountain pens and inks are made to enjoy. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you soon.